I transmigrated into a melodramatic kidney transplant stand-in story where the simp gets dumped. At the wedding scene, the female lead suddenly threw herself straight into the arms of the white knight prince who came to steal the bride. Then she turned back coldly and said to me, "He's back, you can get lost now." Hearing that, I immediately took off the groom's boutonniere, put on the MC's corsage instead, grabbed the microphone, and announced with fiery passion, "I'm today's gold medal MC. Let's give a round of applause to this happy couple." The female lead was full of question marks. The white knight prince was full of double question marks. The guests who were here for the drama, a pile of question marks. I almost died laughing. Being a stand-in was just the most ordinary one out of my 99 side hustles. Chapter 1. The north wind was biting cold as I sped down the road on my little electric scooter. After arriving at the destination bar, I picked up a huge bag of takeout and handed it to the front desk. God, I love this bar. There are always so many people ordering food. Thinking that, I headed upstairs. On the way, I casually took off the yellow delivery uniform, revealing a white shirt underneath. I put on my glasses, tidied up my new hairstyle, and switched on my healing-type smile. A warm, gentle male lead archetype, tender down to the bones. Familiar with the place, I pushed open a private room door and looked toward the woman sitting in the farthest corner, my face full of concern. "Willow, it's too late. It's not safe. I'm here to take you home." The noisy chatter in the room stopped instantly. Everyone turned to look at me. One rich kid chuckled and teased, "What are you talking about? How is Willow unsafe hanging out with us? And hey, buddy, look at the time. It's 3 in the afternoon. Late, you say?" The room burst into laughter. Willow's face darkened like the bottom of a pot. She looked at me impatiently, her tone full of disgust. "George, how many times have I told you? You're just Makoto's stand-in. A stand-in should know his place. Stop showing up in front of me all the time." Hearing that, I clenched my fist, turned my head away with a pained expression, and then secretly pulled out a bottle of eye drops from my pocket. From an angle no one could see, I quickly squeezed a few drops into the corners of my eyes. When I looked up again, my eyes were already red and watery. I said humbly, "Willow, I'm sorry. I didn't know you felt this way. Damn it, are these eye drops expired? Why do they burn so badly?" Willow set her purse on her lap, impatiently dug out a thick wad of cash, and slapped it straight into my face. "You're a stand-in for money, aren't you? Take it and get lost." I lowered my head so the crazed, almost deranged grin threatening to break out wouldn't show. I tried my best to cry with deep affection instead. "No, Willow, I don't want money." Willow crossed her long legs, rummaged through her bag again, pulled out a black card, and flung it at my face with clear disdain. "Is one black card enough? You kept men. Get lost." Following the path of the drifting black card, I staggered back 2 steps as if devastated. On the surface, the card landed on the floor, but in reality, I had already pinned it firmly under my foot. In a grief-stricken tone, I said, "If that's the case, then I'll go." Facing everyone's cold stares, I turned around and slowly shuffled my way out. Chapter 2. The moment I stepped out of the private room, I headed straight for the restroom. When I came back out, I was already dressed in a janitor's uniform. I almost laughed myself to death, so much cash had just fallen all over the floor. Even if it's small change, money is money. No way I'd pass that up. I took off my glasses, put on a cap and a mask, grabbed a broom and a dustpan, and swaggered right back into the same private room. No one inside paid much attention to me. I half-assed a few sweeps, then went straight toward where the cash was scattered. Just as I was diligently sweeping every last bill into the dustpan, a woman's voice cold enough to freeze someone solid rang out. "You, turn around." My eyelid twitched. I pretended she wasn't talking to me and hurried toward the door. Willow grabbed my broom and snapped impatiently. "I told you to turn around. Didn't you hear me? Take that hat off." Shit, did this crazy woman recognize me? If that's the case, don't blame me for this. I yanked off the hat, revealing a pair of greasy, squinting eyes and a shiny balding crown. Classic middle-aged creep vibes. In the oiliest voice imaginable, I said, "Well, hello there, beautiful. Wanna get to know each other?" Willow took one look at my face and nearly jumped out of her skin. "Ha, you think I've been working all these side gigs for nothing? In this bar alone I have 3 different jobs to avoid being recognized. I studied makeup with beauty bloggers for years. Changing my looks is nothing. Hell, changing my gender wouldn't be a problem either." Willow reflexively let go and jumped several feet back. I, on the other hand, refused to let it go and reached out to grab her instead. I forced her into a corner, pinned her against the wall, and started blowing air at her face at lightning speed, 5 times a second, with a mouth that had just eaten durian and stinky tofu. In an absurdly breathy, gravelly voice, I purred, "Come on, sweetheart. Your big bro knows a great place. I'll take you out to have some fun. Don't worry, your bro here is a good guy." Willow looked utterly panicked. covering her nose and desperately dodging my breath. Just as she raised her hand to hit me, I dropped straight to the floor, rolled nimbly, and hugged her leg, slobbering and panting. Hit me, beautiful. It feels so good, master. Hit me harder. Ah, that waist, that deadly curve, damn it, I love you. Everyone in the room was stunned. Mouths hung open as they stared at the scene. Willow's face twisted in complete breakdown mode as she tried to shake me off, screaming. Security. Where's security? Aya, there's a crazy pervert in here. You know what? I've got to admit, the hotel's security setup was pretty solid. I could already see guards about to rush in and grab me. Knowing when to quit while I was ahead, I immediately stuffed all the cash into my jacket. Using the broom as support, I slid forward on my long legs, landing perfectly at the private room entrance. Then, taking full advantage of my background as a high-jump athlete, I grabbed the second-floor railing, leapt onto the nearby staircase, and sprinted back into the restroom. I swapped wigs, splashed some water on my face, and in an instant transformed again, this time into a bar security guard. Jack, what's going on? I walked out of the restroom and casually stopped another guard, feigning confusion. He said, George, there was a pervert just now who attacked Miss Lou. She's furious and said we must catch that guy. He seemed to run toward the restroom. I curled my lips into a smile and pretended to be shocked. What? That's awful. Then let's hurry and chase him. He. Come chase me, then, as if you could ever catch me. Chapter 3. A year ago, I transmigrated into this book and became the angst-ridden male lead who shared my exact name. The original novel was a melodramatic, dog-blood torture fest. The male lead was a devoted simp, loving with his whole soul. Yet he got physically and emotionally abused by the female lead for 999 chapters straight. Then, in the very last chapter, after marrying her crush, the female lead finally had a sudden epiphany. She wondered why she had married a man who only knew how to give her money but didn't know how to love her. So she realized the male lead's deep devotion, saw her own heart clearly, went back to find him, and the male lead, of course, had been loving her all along, waiting in the same place, choosing to forgive her unconditionally. But I'm built different. No women in my heart, just grinding and getting rich. Being a stand-in is just the most ordinary one of my 99 side hustles. That night, while I was gnawing on a roasted sweet potato and soaking my feet, the door to my room was slammed open with a bang. Willow stood there with a dark expression, staring at me like the Grim Reaper come to collect a soul. Why the hell was she here this late at night? I shook my head and muttered to myself, looks like I need to change to a fingerprint lock next time. Willow shot me a glare and snapped. George, how do you have the nerve to be this relaxed, and even soaking your feet? I replied. Probably because I have athlete's foot. I thought about it and picked the most convincing reason. Willow was stunned into silence for a second, then suddenly shrieked. Do you know what I went through today? I pay you every month to be my stand-in, and you don't care about me at all. Jesus Christ, this stupid woman is having another meltdown. I took the last bite of my sweet potato, wiped my feet, stood up, and slapped her across the face. Here, one slap. Let's see if you're still acting crazy. After being hit, Willow's eyes turned bloodshot. She raised her hand, looking like she was about to give me 2 solid slaps in return. Sensing danger, I immediately put on my slippers and sprinted away at full 100-meter speed. She screamed, "Come back here." Willow yelled after me, grabbing whatever cosmetics she could find and hurling them in my direction. Hey, good thing I've trained for this. As a professional acrobat, I smoothly caught 2 with one hand and even balanced one on my head. Willow's eyes went wide. Then she grabbed a cactus from the floor and threw it at me. Yeah, that one you don't catch. I dodged too late, stumbled, and just as I was about to get up, she suddenly blinked over and hugged my thigh. I said viciously, "Willow, I strongly advise you to let go." My fists clenched, teeth grinding, my face twisted into a knot as I stared at her. To be honest, this was my last shred of kindness. Otherwise, someone was definitely going to be sacrificed tonight, but Willow clearly wasn't listening. She clung to my pant leg, refusing to let me leave. She looked up at me, her tone seductive. I don't care, George. You have to compensate me today. Fine. I clenched my teeth. I couldn't hold it in anymore. With my butt as the epicenter, dozens of chained farts exploded one after another, wave upon wave, slamming directly into Willow's face. After releasing everything, I let out a long sigh and finally said the sentence I'd been holding in forever. I need to fart. Ugh, so stinky. Willow had 0 defensive measures. Her nostrils twitched twice, then her face turned green. Clearly, her soul had taken a critical hit. With a trembling voice, she said, You fight dirty." Those were the last words Willow spoke before she passed out. Chapter 4. To prevent Willow from waking up and taking revenge on me, I fed her a few sleeping pills so she'd stay out a little longer. Then, early the next morning, I set off, Today was the day the female lead had been obsessively waiting for, Makoto's return to the country. In the original story, Makoto shot an international blockbuster and instantly became famous. Yet instead of cashing in on his fame, he chose to stay overseas and continue his studies. After returning home, with both solid acting skills and an elite family background, he quickly rose to become the entertainment industry's newest best actor. As someone with a sharp nose for money, there was no way I'd miss the chance to play paparazzi. If I could dig up some juicy scandal or gossip, wouldn't it sell like crazy later? While his popularity hadn't fully exploded yet, I decisively went to the airport to wait for him. My original plan was simple: the moment Makoto appeared, I'd seize the chance and snap some photos. But the second Makoto came out, he was instantly surrounded by a tight circle of bodyguards and whisked away. Watching him about to disappear from my sight, I panicked and rushed straight toward him. To grab Makoto's attention, I ran while shouting at the top of my lungs, "Will we meet again, Makoto? When we do, you better be happy. Makoto, Makoto, how am I supposed to live without you? Makoto, 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 Aiya." Makoto actually stopped. He turned back sharply, clearly alert. I finally ran up to him. Just as I was about to flash a big grin and ask for a few autographs, Makoto took off his sunglasses and gave me a wicked, charming smile. Oh no. Under his wolfish gaze, the hand holding my ballpoint pen started trembling slightly. He asked, "Where do you want it signed? On your clothes? Your pants? Let me see." But the moment I heard his voice, I froze like I'd been struck by lightning. That familiar voice. Wasn't this the rich guy who, just a few days ago, had dropped a ton of money asking me to carry him in online games? So, I cleared my throat and cautiously tried a secret code. "For the Emperor." Makoto froze for a moment, then replied, "The God Emperor protects." I said, "Bro, so you're the one who couldn't hold his shit and got absolutely wrecked by Nurgle." Overjoyed to the point of tears, I was just about to blurt out Makoto's in-game username when he lunged forward in panic and covered my mouth with lightning speed. "Holy shit, don't say my gamer tag in public." He leaned in and whispered in my ear. Because we were so close, from a distance it looked like the two of us were hugging. At that moment, a voice full of pain rang out. "What are you two doing?" I turned around and saw Willow standing there in disbelief. Tears pooled at the corners of her eyes, her lips trembling as she looked at me and said, "George, so this is how you get revenge on me? By turning Makoto gay." Chapter 5. This stupid woman is having another meltdown again. My brain went into overdrive. Within seconds, I grabbed Makoto by the collar, shoved him away, pointed at him, and demanded of Willow, "Willow, this is the White Knight Prince you've been waiting for all this time, right? Then what am I? What do I count as?" Seeing my reddened eyes, Willow froze for a moment. Then a look of sudden understanding crossed her face. She let out a cold snort and said, "George, remember who you are. You're just a stand-in." Then she turned to Makoto, her gaze instantly soft and affectionate. "Makoto, long time no see. Long time no see, Willow." Makoto glanced at me, then politely shook Willow's hand. That was when the classic angst novel plot kicked in. I don't know what got into Willow, but she pulled me aside and said arrogantly, "George, I suggest you stop entertaining unrealistic fantasies about me. Look at my status. Look at your social class. Do you really think you're worthy of being with me? How about this? Come shopping with us. For every item he buys me, I'll give you 1,000 yuan. The corner of my mouth twitched. I was just about to refuse when Willow's disdainful voice rang out again. "What? Not enough? Then how about 10,000 per item? Happy now?" The words I was about to refuse with instantly got swallowed back down my throat. I looked at Willow with pity. At the mall, Makoto predictably suggested buying Willow gifts, so I very professionally led Makoto from store to store, enthusiastically introducing products like a seasoned salesman. Watching Willow's stunned expression, I gave her a wicked smile. "Don't worship me. I used to work in sales, and I was top of the leaderboard." Makoto headed toward a luxury boutique. I quickly stopped him. "This one won't do." He asked, "Why not?" I replied, "There's nothing in here under 10,000. Willow was speechless. I immediately turned around and led Makoto straight to a 10 yuan shop. Makoto totally got it. Every item I recommended, he bought. Before we knew it, we were practically emptying the entire store. Willow's face turned pitch black. She dragged me aside, clearly about to interrogate me, but I beat her to it. With a disappointed tone, I said, "So you're this happy just because Makoto buys you things? Figures. When you love someone, you'd accept a proposal made with a sodacan ring. When you don't love someone, even if they give you the whole world, you feel nothing." Afraid the damage wasn't enough, I sighed and added, "But as long as you're happy, even when you two are doing it in bed, I'd be happy pushing from behind." Willow's anger instantly vanished. Her eyes reddened slightly as she tapped a few numbers into her phone, though she still muttered, "Top-tier simp, pathetic loser." Ding. 2 million credited. I gazed deeply at her retreating back. 2 million. Guys, that's 2 million. Simp or not, honestly. Even if Willow said I wasn't a man, I'd accept it. Chapter 6. George, are you free this afternoon? I need you to stand in for me at a last-minute blind date. On the phone, a man's lazy, unhurried voice drifted over. I yawned and replied vaguely. No time, bro, he said calmly. 100,000. My yawn vanished instantly. I straightened up and spoke with absolute sincerity. President Lou, just now the wind was too loud. I didn't quite catch what you said. Oh, a blind date, that's nothing. Won't take more than a few minutes. Of course I'll help you. He was clearly amused and asked casually. How's Willow been lately? The man's name was Luis, Willow's half-brother on her father's side, and the major antagonist in the original story who wanted to drive her out of the Lou group. Besides being Willow's stand-in, I actually had another identity. A mole planted at Willow's side. Can't help it. Luis pays way too well, compared to Willow, who's emotionally unstable, dramatic, and endlessly fussy. This CEO is absurdly generous, so I reported honestly and in detail. Willow's gone full love brain lately, busy chasing her white knight prince. She doesn't have time for anything else, not even going to the Lou group anymore. Luis chuckled softly, sent me a big red packet, and continued encouraging me. Good work, George. Keep it up. Promotions and raises are just around the corner. Even though it was clearly just empty corporate hype, I still jumped out of bed immediately and replied. No problem, sir. Chapter 7. According to Luis, the blind date was with a rich heiress about his age. They'd met once a long time ago, and he told me I could be perfunctory, ideally. I should sabotage the whole thing and make it fall apart. Even so, I still put on sunglasses, a hat, and a mask, terrified she'd realize I wasn't the real guy. I said. Hello, you must be Safina, right? The woman had been looking out the floor-to-ceiling window at the view. Hearing me, she turned around and revealed an incredibly cute face. She said, Mr. Lou, my name is Sophia, I replied. Ah, sorry. I awkwardly tugged at the corner of my mouth, then suddenly felt something was off. Luis had clearly said she was a notorious player, a top-tier heartbreaker, but why did she look so innocent? Before I could think it through, Sophia muttered first. This isn't quite how I remember you. The moment I heard that, I recalled Luis's usual mannerisms, leaned back in my seat, waved a hand grandly, and said, Waiter, we'll order. When the dishes were served, I took off my mask and got ready to eat. The woman across from me hesitated, then asked, Mr. Lou, aren't you going to take off your sunglasses and hat? On the surface, I smiled calmly and told her. Just a small personal habit. You don't mind, do you? Inside, I was screaming, if I take those off, that's basically streaking. Sophia nodded, surprisingly understanding. Throughout the whole meal, the two of us barely spoke. For me, it was because of the persona. As for her, I had no idea why. When the meal ended, she took the initiative and asked, Mr. Lou, should we add each other on WeChat? Without thinking, I pulled out my phone and showed her my personal QR code, then instantly realized something was wrong. Shit, I forgot to switch accounts. This was my work WeChat. Sophia's scanning motion froze. She stiffened for a moment, then looked at me with certainty. Teacher Wang. I was full of question marks. She said, I'm Anna. Anna. Wasn't that the online tutoring student I'd had not long ago? No wonder her voice had sounded a little familiar. Too many side gigs. I randomly sub in for a blind date and still run into an acquaintance. I took off my sunglasses and hat and stared at her in shock. What's your relationship with Sophia? Anna blinked, looking a bit aggrieved. I'm standing in for my sister. Well damn. A fake running into another fake. No wonder both sides were so half-hearted about this date. I rubbed my nose, crooked a finger at her, and said, all right then, let's call it even. You don't tell your sister, and I won't tell Luis. She replied obediently. Okay, Teacher Wang, Anna agreed. Sweet and well-behaved. Chapter 8. Dressed in a formal suit, I stood at the entrance of the villa, so sleepy I was about to yawn. Half a month ago, I'd applied for the position of butler at this villa. Since no one ever lived here, the job was ridiculously easy. I hadn't expected that just moments ago, I'd receive a notice saying the owner's daughter would be coming to stay here for one night. Not long after, a globally limited edition sports car slowly pulled up to the front gate. The door opened, revealing a flawlessly cold and stunning face, and wouldn't you know it, I knew this person all too well. It was Willow. I sucked in a sharp breath, silently thanking the heavens that I'd put on a mask in time. Putting on a respectful front, I said, Young miss, dinner has already been prepared for. Before I could finish, a man pulled her into his arms, cupped the back of her head, and the two of them launched straight into an intense French kiss. Ah, my eyes. I immediately shut my mouth and turned my head to look at the scenery off to the side. 1 minute passed. 10 minutes passed. Even half an hour went by. They were still kissing like no one else existed. My legs were numb from standing. No. Seriously, do you two have suction cups installed in your mouths or something? I exchanged an awkward smile with the driver uncle. Finally, after I'd mentally counted 100,000 ants, the men reluctantly let Willow go. Just as I was about to breathe a sigh of relief and step forward to guide them, they couldn't help themselves again. The two hugged each other tightly, stumbling as they kissed their way toward the villa. I could only follow behind them, my face full of life-worn exhaustion. The lighting outside was too dim for me to see the men clearly. The moment we entered the house, I recognized him immediately. Makoto, damn it, you really don't mind recycling leftovers, huh? Not even a little grossed out. I stood obediently in the corner, staring at the floor tiles. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Makoto press Willow down onto the sofa. His hand was just about to slide further down. Is this really something I get to watch without paying? Just as I was lamenting the moral decline of society, Makoto suddenly raised his hand and chopped Willow unconscious with a clean strike to the neck. Mr. Wong, come over. Makoto's teasing voice rang out, as if he were a germaphobe. He pulled out a wet wipe and wiped his mouth with clear disgust. Then he took a box of sleeping pills from his pocket, pried Willow's mouth open without the slightest bit of tenderness, and fed them to her. Seeing this, I was completely stunned. I spoke weakly. So, am I also just one piece in your game? Makoto laughed twice and shrugged indifferently. She wants my money. I want her body. Mutual benefit. Then he adjusted his glasses and smiled at me. Mr. Wong, I've got a business deal I'd like to discuss with you. Chapter 9. George, remember who you are. Don't fantasize about things that don't belong to you. Willow unwillingly looped her arm through mine and spoke coldly. Hey, what did working people ever do to you? I shot her a sideways glance and happened to meet Willow's eyes as she looked up at me. She froze for a second, then demanded. What kind of look is that? I said. Willow, saying that really hurts me. My eye is twitching from the pain. I deliberately lowered my voice, making it hoarse, deep, devoted, and pitiful. Sure enough, Willow totally fell for it. She seemed quite pleased with her own charm and didn't press the matter further. A few days ago, Willow and Makoto had a fight. To piss him off, she deliberately dragged me along to today's banquet. After all, in the novel, although Willow liked Makoto, Makoto was a notorious flirt, so Willow often used the original simp male lead as a shield. Willow, as expected, the moment Makoto's voice rang out, Willow immediately shoved me away and said coldly, "Go stand somewhere else. Don't embarrass me, woman. You cheating on two people at once is way more embarrassing." I snorted, turned around, and headed for the buffet area. I piled a mountain of food onto my plate, found a dark corner, and sat down. You think I'm introverted? No, I'm a professional mukbang streamer. Grinning, I picked up a peeled shrimp, dipped it in sauce, and introduced it to the camera. Look at this, packed with flavor. Just as I was eating happily, a ghostly voice suddenly sounded beside me. Teacher Wong. I choked in shock and started coughing uncontrollably. Anna was startled too and hurriedly poured me a glass of water and handed it over. After drinking, I felt a bit better. Still coughing, I scolded her angrily. One day, cough cough, your teacher. Forever, cough cough, your father. Is this how you treat, cough cough, your father? To her credit, Anna was honest. She looked guilty and said, I'm sorry, teacher, I was wrong. I was about to say more when all the lights in the hall suddenly went out. Someone covered my mouth from behind. In the split second before I lost consciousness, only one thought remained in my mind. Damn it, that big, juicy piece of shrimp wasn't finished yet. I really took a loss this time. Chapter 10. When I opened my eyes again, my head felt heavy and foggy. I instinctively wanted to grab a glass of water, only to realize my hands and feet were tightly bound. I couldn't move at all. I snapped fully awake and threw my eyes open. Didn't know till I looked. One look nearly scared me to death. I was in an abandoned factory, with several men who looked vicious and dangerous standing in front of me. Boss, all three are awake. A lackey reported honestly to a scar-faced man. 3 people. Sure enough, when I turned my head, I saw Makoto and Anna beside me, both tied up just as tightly. Heh, interesting. The scar-faced man gave a sinister laugh and clapped his hands. Willow, you never would have imagined you'd end up in my hands one day. Hearing that, I looked around in confusion, then spoke up very politely. Wait a second, where exactly is the Willow you're talking about? The scar-faced man clearly didn't expect me to speak. He froze for a moment, then laughed even more happily. Ha 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 ha, Willow. That bitch Willow ruined my family and destroyed my life. She owes me so many lives. Now it's time for you to pay the debt for her. Oh, so he's Willow's enemy. The way this guy couldn't go 3 sentences without mentioning Willow, someone who didn't know better might think he was secretly in love with her. I said, Big bro, are you sure it was Willow who ruined your life, and not someone else? The scar-faced man instantly got agitated and roared. Of course I'm sure. Everything she's done, I'll never forget it as long as I live. I asked. Then why didn't you just kidnap Willow directly? Why kidnap the three of us instead? I thought you weren't very bright before, now it actually makes sense. The scar-faced man shouted furiously. Are you even a man? Hiding behind a woman like this? I was speechless. He strode toward me, grabbed my hair, raised his fist, and was clearly about to teach me a lesson. However, during the 51 seconds I'd spent trash-talking him, I'd already used my exquisite skills to undo the bindings on my hands and feet. I planted my hands on the ground, sprang up in one clean motion, and landed steadily on my feet. All that was left in the scar-faced man's hand was a greasy, shiny wig. Heh, can't even grab hold properly. In the next second, I shrugged off the annoying coat, revealing solid muscles and a full tattoo sleeve underneath. Stroking my thick beard, I stared at the thugs excitedly and said, "Didn't expect this. Huh. I used to be a kidnapper too, he. The moment Makoto saw my beard, muscles, and white socks, his eyes lit up. He licked his lips and said, "Damn, you've got guts. Nice build, pretty solid. Go on, beat them hard. When we get back, I'll show you something nice." Anna, on the other hand, had a strong sense of legal awareness. She looked at me hesitantly and said, "Teacher Wong, take it easy. Don't beat them to death. Just leave them breathing." Hearing that, the scar-faced man clutched the wig and stared at me in sheer terror, muttering to himself, What kind of people did I even kidnap? Chapter 11. After skillfully tying the final knot, I looked at the kidnappers bundled up on the floor and asked kindly, "So, tell me, what was your original plan?" In an instant, the roles of kidnapper and hostage reversed. The scar-faced man, his face mottled with bruises, answered honestly, "We planned to video call Willow, blackmail her, and then kill the two of you so she'd regret it for the rest of her life." Thinking back to the original plot, I vaguely remembered this scene where the kidnappers forced her to choose between two people, and she chose Makoto without hesitation. Speechless, I asked, "Then her, why kidnap her?" I pointed at Anna, genuinely curious. He said, "When we were trying to grab you, she spotted us, so we figured, buy two, get one free, and brought her along." Anna pressed her lips together, looking a bit aggrieved. "George, I don't know how to fight." "Good." I patted her head with a smile. "If you don't know how, then start learning today. That row of people in front of you, consider them your free punching bags." "George is so nice to me," Anna said, looking at me with starry eyes. Makoto raised his hand too. Me too. "No problem," I replied generously. After all, I hadn't forgotten that these people originally planned to kill us. I put on a black hood I'd taken from the kidnappers, leaving only my eyes exposed. "Next, I'll need Mr. Ito to cooperate." I had the scar-faced man start a video call with Willow. She answered instantly. I aimed the camera at Makoto Ito lying unconscious on the floor and lowered my voice. "Willow, they're in my hands. If you want to save them, transfer the money to." Before I could finish, Willow cut me off, tears streaming as she sobbed. "I choose Makoto. Don't hurt him. Leave George behind. Kill him or torture him however you want." Damn it, I get it. I really do. I need to have the self-awareness of a simp backup, but wasn't that a bit too fast? Honestly, Willow can be pretty impressive sometimes. Every line she says lines up perfectly with the brain-dead plot of the original novel. I revealed a sinister smile and said, "They're already tied up together. Willow, if you want to save Makoto, you'll have to pay George's ransom as well." "Why?" Willow demanded, insisting on an explanation. I answered firmly, "Because it's Crazy Thursday, buy one, get one free." Willow snapped. "How much do you want?" I said. 10% of the Lu Group's shares. Impossible. She rejected it instantly. At that moment, Makoto's weak voice drifted up from the floor. Willow suddenly changed her tune. "Fine, as long as Makoto is returned safely, none of that matters." I rolled my eyes. Willow didn't agree because she was love-brained. It was because the Ito family is the richest in City A. If she could marry into the Ito family, what was a bit of money? She's very realistic, that one. When Willow transferred 10 million into my unregistered bank account, I immediately hung up the call, then quickly untied the kidnappers. Their faces lit up with wild joy. Before they could fight back, I shot Makoto and Anna a look. All three of us dropped to the ground in unison. The next second, sirens blared. The police kicked in the door and arrested all the kidnappers in one sweep. The scar-faced man panicked and pointed at me. "Officer, you've got it wrong. That guy is the real kidnapper." The police slapped cuffs on him and snorted. "I've heard that line more times than I can count. You can explain it slowly at the station." After that video call, Willow had probably already arranged to trace the location, so I'd struck first and called 110 in advance. After all, I have another identity, Mr. Wong, an upstanding citizen. Eliminating evil and promoting justice is my bounden duty. Chapter 12. No sooner had I been wheeled onto a hospital bed than I woke up. This familiar hospital, wasn't this the very place where I'd interviewed for a surgical assistant position a few days ago? They'd even told me to report for work tomorrow. Unexpectedly, the moment I pushed open the ward door, a passing doctor hurriedly shoved a set of scrubs into my hands. I remember you, you're the one who passed the interview the other day. Right. Perfect timing. There's a minor procedure that needs an extra assistant. I changed into the scrubs in a daze and followed him straight toward the operating room. The next second, a woman suddenly dropped to her knees in front of the doctor, wailing. Doctor, I'm begging you, save him. Without him, I can't go on living. Help. Why is it Willow again? And if I'm not mistaken, the person on the operating table is Makoto, right? Please tell me I'm mistaken. The attending physician wiped the sweat from his forehead and said respectfully, Miss Liu, Makoto's tests show no abnormalities. Willow shook her head violently. That's impossible. He hasn't spoken to me for an entire hour. He's unconscious. Don't you understand? She clutched her head with both hands, whimpering around the room like an injured little beast. This is hard to comment on, because Makoto told me he'd spent the entire night gaming at an internet cafe yesterday. I strongly suspect he's just asleep. When the attending physicians gathered to discuss things, one of them rubbed his sore lower back from exhaustion. Somehow, Willow caught sight of that single movement and instantly lost it. Her whole body trembled as she screamed. Kidneys. It must be Makoto Gija's kidneys. Something's wrong with his kidneys. She immediately grabbed a nearby assistant and shrieked hoarsely. Call George over here. I want him to donate a kidney to Makoto. Hearing that, my entire body jolted, my head filled with question marks. The assistant, clearly prioritizing survival, immediately dialed my number. And so, accompanied by a cheerful ringtone, my phone started ringing from my pocket. Good luck is coming. Our good luck is coming. Chapter 13. The entire operating room went silent. I gave an awkward smile and waved at Willow. Haha. Willow, long time no see. Willow instantly calmed down and demanded, George, why are you here? Then she answered herself with a sneer. Ha, a despicable man like you must have sneaked into the hospital just to harm Makoto. Right, I never thought that just to get me, you'd resort to such vicious methods. She even came up with a motive for me. She's really considerate. I'm so touched I could cry. Willow switched back to her icy, superior expression and said arrogantly, George, donating your kidney to Makoto is an honor for you. I closed my eyes. Then I snatched the sedative out of the attending physician's hand. That sedative had originally been prepared in case Makoto had complications. But now, with a ferocious expression, I lunged straight at Willow and injected it into her body. Finally, Willow collapsed. The world was finally quiet. I pulled out the syringe and smiled at everyone present. Sorry, I'm a domestic abuser. Everyone immediately gave me a thumbs up. Overwhelmed with joy, I nearly cried. Sure enough, there are still plenty of normal people left in this world. Chapter 14. Ever since the sedative incident, Willow hadn't contacted me for an entire month. Just when I thought I'd been silently fired, she suddenly sent me a text. George, tomorrow at 12 noon, come to Orange Grand Hotel. I'm marrying you tomorrow. Then she added another line. I love you. Wow. She really knows how to go for maximum adrenaline. I had no idea what Willow was planning. But one thing was certain, it definitely wasn't anything good for me. Whatever. For that tiny bit of stand-in pay, I put on a cheap suit, pinned on a boutonniere, and headed out. The hotel hall was already packed with people. The moment I pushed the door open, many of them turned to look at me in surprise, whispering among themselves, what's going on? Is he here to steal the bride? I heard he's that creepy guy who's been obsessively clinging to Willow. Someone else chimed in. Today is Miss Willow's wedding with President Ito. If he shows up here, he's just going to embarrass himself. I was speechless. Step by step, I walked forward and saw Makoto in a custom-tailored suit, with Willow in his arms, looking shy and delicate. When she saw me, Willow let out a mocking laugh and deliberately spoke coldly into the microphone. George, stop pestering me. The man I love has returned to marry me. You can get lost now. At that point, how could I not understand? She deliberately called me here just to humiliate me in public, to paint me as some deranged stalker and vent her anger. She thought I was still the original George, the one from the novel, the simp stand-in who would give up everything for the female lead. I almost laughed myself to death. Being a stand-in is just the most ordinary one of my 99 side hustles. Hearing that, I immediately took off the groom's boutonniere, put on the MC's corsage, grabbed the microphone, and announced with fiery passion, I'm today's gold medal MC. Let's congratulate this happy couple. Everyone froze. Calm and unhurried, I continued hosting. Now, we invite the bride and groom to exchange rings. Willow was still stunned, but Makoto had already taken out the ring. "What are you spacing out for?" he said. "Give me your hand, it's time to put on the ring." All eyes in the audience were fixed on the stage. Willow's expression darkened, but this was a wedding. After all, she raised her hand to accept the ring. Then, in the next second, Makoto closed his hand. Smack. He slapped Willow hard across the face and said coldly, "You were really going to put it on? Willow, are you even worthy? A vicious woman like you, did you really think I'd marry you?" The situation flipped instantly. The audience below gaped, mouths forming perfect O shapes. The invited reporters were so excited they were practically bouncing. Cameras clicking non-stop. Willow covered her face and stared at Makoto blankly, trembling as she said, "Makoto, you." Makoto snapped his fingers. At once, the big screen lit up with photos of Willow and me tangled together. The angles were perfectly chosen. Every shot made our movements look outrageously intimate. Makoto let out a cold laugh, then patted my shoulder and left his hand resting there as he spoke with ringing clarity. "Willow, this fickle, promiscuous woman, on the surface she claimed she was waiting for me all along, but in reality, she'd already secretly cheated with this Mr. Wong. Most importantly, she lied to Mr. Wong and said she was single, while telling me that George was harassing her, carefully crafting an image of herself as an innocent little white flower, and painting a picture of shameless entanglement between her and Mr. Wong." Makoto then had someone play an audio recording. In the clip, Willow's voice could be faintly heard. She was speaking to a man. "Relax. I'm not that into Makoto. The Ito family will be yours sooner or later." I picked up the microphone and chimed in. Luckily, Mr. Ito noticed something was off in time and contacted me. Makoto and I exchanged a glance and said in unison, "Today, on this important day, we're tearing apart a scummy woman, Liv." Willow stared at us in disbelief. She wasn't stupid, though. Anger quickly replaced the shock. "Oh, so you two bastards actually teamed up to slander me." Then she clutched her stomach, her voice turning mournful and tragic. "Makoto, I'm carrying your child. I'm marrying you because I don't want the baby to grow up without a father." The reporters exploded into uproar. Damn, today's gossip was seriously stacked. Makoto shot back sharply. "Willow, are you sure the child is mine? Someone without even a 30-60 chest really has the nerve to be this brainless. You're way too impatient. That day, I didn't even sleep with you. This child has absolutely nothing to do with me." Makoto pulled out a certificate from who knows where and slammed it hard into Willow's face. I stood there, completely dumbfounded. The three of us combined had 800 schemes between us. Makoto had 401, Willow had 401, and I had -2. Chapter 15. As it turned out, Makoto's return to the country wasn't just about breaking into the entertainment industry, it was also about reclaiming his family business. Mr. and Mrs. Ito were getting on in years and wanted to hand the entire empire over to Makoto. But Makoto's cousin, Kaito, wasn't willing to accept that. On the surface, he worked to win the family's support. Behind the scenes, he secretly contacted Willow. Kaito signed an agreement with Willow. He would help engineer her marriage to Makoto, and in return, Willow would act as the mole planted by his side, cooperating step by step to siphon off company assets. To make it convincing, the two of them even slept together, and Willow got pregnant. As for Willow, she did love Makoto, but in her mind, everything she did, including finding a stand-in, was merely retaliation for Makoto's neglect of her, not betrayal. As a spy, I naturally carried a recorder with me at all times. I recorded the entire conversation and sent it to the real boss, Luis. Luis and Willow were competitors. After thinking it over, he immediately forwarded the recording to Makoto. And so, Makoto decided to play along and set up today's grand spectacle. Why choose today? According to Makoto, it was perfect for riding the wedding's hype and boosting his visibility in the entertainment industry. Sure enough, not long after the wedding ended, all kinds of gossip about it exploded across the internet. Among them, the videos of the groom turning into the MC, Makoto delivering a brutal slap, and the two of us standing shoulder to shoulder tearing apart a scummy woman had netizens shouting absolute cinema. Edits of Makoto's past roles shot straight to the trending charts, earning him a massive surge in followers. Meanwhile, netizens dug my accounts up from top to bottom. Food delivery, mukbang, security guard, every platform, every alt account, all exposed. The internet was shook. "So all of those, were you? Bro, is there anything you can't do?" To that, I humbly waved my hand and replied, "Sigh, I'm just an ordinary, unremarkable multi-hyphenate youth." Chapter 16. Once the news of Willow Liu juggling two relationships broke, the Liu family company's stock price plunged straight down. Luis seized the opportunity to win over several shareholders and poach them to his own company. He said, "Old Master Liu is finally starting to take me seriously." Luis lifted his glass and downed it in one go, saying indignantly, "I seriously don't get it. How can someone be this blatantly double-standard? Willow is childish and willful, yet people still force themselves to praise her, saying things like girls being like this is fine. Ever since we were young, I've clearly shown stronger abilities, but the old man has always favored Willow. I shrugged and thought to myself, because she's the female lead. Because she's the female lead. The original male lead could be abused physically and mentally for 999 chapters and still had to be magnanimous in the final chapter, forgiving her and becoming her top-tier simp. Because she's the female lead. Luis, despite being the eldest son with outstanding abilities, was labeled the ultimate villain simply because he opposed her, and ended up with a miserable fate. Because she's the female lead. Makoto, clearly a rich heir returning from abroad, still had to take the fall and marry her in the original story, even while knowing full well that Willow had cheated on more than one boyfriend. Thankfully, the real versions of them all had functioning brains. In this absurd world, they carved out a bloody path of their own. Chapter 17. Is this story finished yet? A comment suddenly popped up on my computer screen. I glanced at it but didn't reply right away, continuing instead to think through the final ending. Since I'd already transmigrated into this melodramatic dumpster fire of a novel, I simply recalled the original plot and started serializing a rewritten version online 2 months ago. After all, I was already here. Anything I wrote was profit. The only thing was, I deleted all the dog blood elements. For example, the male lead slapping the female lead twice, first when she threw a tantrum and demanded to slap him. For example, the so-called evil male supporting role immediately calling off the engagement and publicly exposing Willow once he uncovered her actions. For example, the villain, aka the female lead's brother, seizing the opportunity to take power in one fell swoop and kicking her out of the family. I was sick of it. Sick of the idea that no matter what, men should never hit women. Sick of the narrative that men should always be more tolerant. Even more so, I was sick of double standards. Sick of how men being ambitious and hardworking is seen as normal, expected, and taken for granted, while women doing the same are praised as clear-headed, independent, and strong female leads. All I can say is this: gender equality doesn't come with an obligation to be a doormat. After typing the final few words of the novel, I hit the enter key, then went back to that earlier comment and replied to the reader. Honored Godfather, the full story finished 1 minute ago.